Howdy. We have to talk about Mountainwater once again, I guess. I didn't have the time yet to read this through, so let's do it together. Australia's last eruption was 5,000 years ago. So could extinct volcanoes come back to life? That's already some days old, this article. An aerial view of the crater at the top of Mount Quincan, which is about 6 kilometers north of Malanda, in the Atherton Tablelands. This could be Germany as well. What? Anyway, let's go into that. It has been about 5,000 years since the last volcanic eruption in Australia, maybe 6. But for the 4.5 billion years history of Earth, it's like a second ago. There is evidence of a dynamic volcanic past scattered across the country, where violent blasts, ash clouds and lava flows have resulted in the spectacular crater lakes, waterfalls, hilltops and caves we enjoy today. Crater lakes? Waterfalls? Mountain water? Far North Queensland, which is famous for the reef and rainforest, is home to more than 80 extinct volcanoes, but according to Peter Whitehead, what a name for an Australian, adjunct lecturer at James Cook University, extinct volcanoes have been known to come back to life. These volcanoes in far North Queensland were active about 5 million years ago until about 10,000 years ago, which is yesterday for geologists. The eruptions were sporadic during that period, and they are decreasing with time. But because the last one was only 10,000 years ago, you would have to think that there is a possibility of an eruption sometime in the future. The most recent eruptions in Australia happened at Mount Shank and Mount Gambier, in an area known as the Newer Volcanic Province in southeast Australia. I made a video recently about this one spot in Australia where I found water. Maybe it's in the same region. The Newer Volcanics Province. I didn't know. I have to check it out. Maybe. Maybe not. The area is considered dormant, according to Geoscience Australia, which means it has the potential for an eruption sometime in the future. But exactly if or when is anyone's guess. Yes, the Mount Hypipamee crater is thought to have been created by a huge volcanic gas explosion, or a massive electrical discharge which burned a hole through the crust and established a connection to the waters below. That's why we have water. And since we still have water, we have to assume that it's not dead. It's on a very low frequency, but still active. But anyway, Atherton volcanic field. Newcomers to Queensland Tablelands region may not realize it is sitting on top of a chain of ancient volcanic activity known as the Atherton volcanic field, including Lake Eaham, Lake Barine, the Seven Sisters mountain range and the Mount Hypipamee crater. The town of Atherton, where almost 10,000 people live, is built on the site of Halloran's Hill, an extinct shield volcano. The lava has come out and then gently rolled down the slope. It's similar to the classic Hawaiian volcanoes and also similar to Bones Knob, which is just north of Atherton, Mr. Whitehead said. Further to the southwest lies one of the longest lava tubes in the world at Undara, while the Kinrara volcano to its east is considered one of the youngest volcanoes in Australia. Yeah, maybe lava tubes there are flushed out with water and not lava. But that's just a thought. Living on the edge. Yeah, we're all in this together. Anyway, at Mount Quincan, southeast of Atherton, Kerry Kehoe, built a luxury tourist retreat beside the volcanic crater in 1997 after spending his childhood days exploring its surroundings. The thought of it erupting has never crossed my mind, Mr. Kihue said. A lot of the guests asked how long ago it erupted, but there was never any fear of it happening again. People just thought it was something different to camp on the banks of an extinct volcano. If I look at this cloud pattern, I see a pattern. There's one blob, another blob, and the other, where it's inside. So there is something going on. Maybe also here in the background. All these clouds might be connected to some hill there, which means there is an energy exchange going on still. The Mount Quincon crater, which last erupted about 7,000 years ago, with the Seven Sisters, which are a series of volcanic cinder cones on the horizon. Yes, like I said. I don't know if these are the Seven Sisters or if these are the Seven Sisters. But we have clouds also here. But anyway, Quincon is named after the scoria which is quarried on the mountain, the type of volcanic rock used in landscaping and road building. Mr. Kehoe has since sold up, but he remembers tourists and volcanologists from across the globe being drawn to the area's unique geography, the fauna and flora. We used to attract volcano fans who wanted to stay at the resort and walk around the crater. The other big attraction were the 3 kangaroos who couldn't stay there without seeing one. Volcanoes don't have an alarm clock. They have. Anyway, despite the tablelands volcanoes being classified as extinct, Mr. Whitehead explains there have been records of the past of magma re-emerging, having traveled through deep underground routes and bursting through the Earth's surface elsewhere. Once a volcano erupts and the magma congeals, any further eruption has to find a new way and break through elsewhere, he said. If there was an eruption on the tablelands, we would expect it will be somewhere new. This is a lava tube, I guess. The lava tubes in the Undara Volcanic National Park are one of the largest lava tube systems in the world. No, anyway. Yeah, I just like this water thing with lava tubes. Sounds interesting to me. Maybe I think about this a little bit more then. Anyway, when and where? Heather Handley, Associate Professor of Volcanic Hazards and Geoscience Communication at the University of Twente in the Netherlands and adjunct Associate Professor of Monash University in Melbourne, says nobody knows for certain when and where another eruption could happen. Volcanoes don't have an alarm clock. They say to erupt every so many thousands of years. It's time for one, Dr. Handley said. We can see long periods of time between eruptions, but we don't know when the next one will be. It could be in a short time from now, or it could be thousands of years. Maybe those 2 guys should read about the sun cycles and they could be wiser, maybe. Dr. Handley, however, said that there are 2 potentially volcanic active areas in Australia. One is in the north of Queensland and in southeast Australia between Melbourne and Mount Gambier. It would be terribly worried. No, sorry. I wouldn't be terribly worried. Broomfield Swamp near Malanda is a shallow crater of an extinct volcano and forms part of the headwaters of the North Johnstone River. You know, mountain water, sources of rivers. You know, when I see these kind of things nowadays and I just realize that every water stream is an active part of the environment, it's a stream of energy. So that there's no extinction going on here because there's still water. So it's still continuing. It's ongoing. The possibility of further volcanic activity was highlighted in 2019 report by the late Professor Edmund Joyce from the University of Melbourne titled The Risk of Volcanic Eruption in Mainland Australia. Sub-scenarios focus our attention on what sort of complex volcanic activity emergency response organizations and the community should be preparing for, he wrote. Australian volcanologists and seismologists now agree that youthful ages imply the possibility of further activity. Yes, there is water. Man. Geoscience Australia operates a network of more than 200 broadband seismometers across Australia and offshore that respond to ground noises and shaking caused by quakes, volcanic eruptions, and explosions. Whatever the remote risk, Mr. Whitehead said residents living in volcanic zones would be given plenty of warning. You should read about phreatomagmatic eruptions. Volcanic eruptions, which include water, that can be very explosive. Yeah, we have water there. We are talking about volcanoes. Maybe we have to think about cryptodomes as well. But anyway, because it's not an active region, we don't have tilt meters. But I wouldn't be terribly worried if I lived in the tablelands. Maybe you should get a tilt meter. If there was any sort of movement of magma towards the surface, there would be slight tremors that would get picked up by the seismic network, Mr. Whitehead said. Yes. Believe the Whiteheads. But I wanted to show you something else still. Now, after we talked about these volcanoes and stuff, there would be... I think I have to dive into this a little bit. It sounds very interesting. But I've been watching quakes in Europe. There is quite some activity going on. I think I made a video earlier. And I just drew a line in a way which takes Turkey and the actions in Romania into account. Now that's a screenshot because it wasn't too easy somehow to make with a phone. There are probably many people out there who can make really nice maps and all this kind of sci-fi, high-tech, new school stuff, you know. I'm not one of these. 2,800 kilometers, which means it's 1-4 and 1-4. We are at the National Park Eiffel in Germany. Yeah, that's the sketchiness here, what's going on. So now let's go back here. It's about 2,800. And it's... I took this place here. There is a kind of hotspot of the quake activity. And I tried to get the hotspot in Romania, which is a little bit north of Gorj. Romania is a very fascinating language. So probably you now understand why I made screenshots. That's really sketchy. And now I just somehow try to make this as straight as possible and hit the 2,800 kilometer mark. Now you just have to bear with me and the sketchiness. The thing is, if I zoom in, the line gets lost. You know, doesn't work. But anyway, if we just take this 2,800 kilometers, now we don't know anymore where is north. It's approximately maybe like that. Maybe like this. And if we zoom in and keep about the range of 2,800 kilometers, Hellenthal, still 10 kilometers. National Park Eifel. This is still volcanic, since it's in the Eifel volcanic complex. Now we are at 2,800. So where is the Lach Lake? It has to be somewhere here. Wait a second. Yeah, maybe that's too sketchy to watch. Kottenfrost. Königswinter. It's a volcano. That's a volcano too. The Iron Man. Yeah, we have this mine, which is also exactly 1,400 kilometers from the earthquake center in Romania. Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to show you that because I think it's very interesting. I didn't find now the Lach Lake, but it's there somewhere. It doesn't mean that the quakes are going straight. You know, maybe the earthquake activity which is going on in southern Germany. I think I talked about this earlier today. Has something to do with this wave which is coming in. And we have been up here. Koblenz. Here it's really easy to see Koblenz. On the other map it wasn't really visible. Königswinter is here and the Lacher Lake is here. So we weren't too far from that. Königswinter. 30 kilometers something from the Lacher Lake, which is dormant. Hydrothermal explosions. Anyway, I think I'll leave it here. I think it's very interesting. Thanks. Bye.